Netflix a lot.
Yes, and that's one of the things I was going to mention briefly because in case I talk about it. But we're good to go? Sure. Awesome. Okay, so we've had these things for about a year and a half now, and I've used them quite a lot. First thing I used was GarageBand. I would make sound effects for video productions, and then moving out of that into iTunes to use them for playlists for shows. So either pre-show music, or we took a show to Edinburgh, Scotland, and I ran the entire show from my iPad. So we did sound effects. There was all kinds of crazy noises, music, and actually there's a couple of live things that I ran off a different thing called Air, and they were just sort of live sound effects. That was problematic. iTunes doesn't stop at the end of Fuse, and that's a bit of a problem for me. So I found another one called Big Button. That was my favorite thing after that. So you can, it's a big button. You can go, and it just plays. And obviously I don't think we have, through this one, we don't have sound, but it does play through the...
It's just real quiet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got this song coming.
But
you can cue, so for example, I would go to the next song on the list, cue it up, and I can play that one.
I'm trying to turn volume.
Yeah. So it's a good way for this is very theater-y kind of thing, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. I did use the camera in the iPad to record monologues and songs and things in classes, and then uploaded those, because you come straight from the camera into YouTube, into a private channel, so that students could critique each other's performances. So this was a way to get them, so it was somewhere they could all see it, but it wasn't on the internet, so that their grandmother could make comments or something. It was a private channel, so that they could critique each other's, and only I could see what they were doing on that. So that was another thing that I did that was more specifically theatre related, but I feel like you could do that for all kinds of presentations. For folks could, they could do a presentation and you could upload it, and then you could critique what they say.
Mark, it's a private channel.
Yes.
I confess my ignorance, but
what is?
Yeah.
In YouTube, you have to have a membership to YouTube, and so when you go there, you can when you assign a video to YouTube, any kind of video to YouTube, you can select where you want it to go. And I selected a private channel, and I put in the emails of the only people who could see it, and so it only sent a link to them, and then they could watch it, and then write about it on make comments, and so that would be everyone who could actually do something about it. In the theatre world, staying in that for the last part of this, there are now new apps that I'm working with or Violin on that you can remotely control sound and light boards from, which is a really exciting thing for us. But obviously, it's not as applicable to folks outside the theatre. Obviously, Ron was saying about Netflix being one of his favourite things. My next class in about 40 minutes is going to be a theatre appreciation class, and we're going to can't play movie. Oh well, it usually works. I was going to show you a tiny clip of King Lear, because obviously we're doing King Lear later on the semester. The CP students are using it in classes, so I was going to show a little 10-minute clip of King Lear and use that as a starting point for a discussion. So even though Netflix is, you have to have an account. I have a Netflix account. My kids watch cartoons when I'm home, but here I can use it to show little clips of things, and they're good startup things, good conversational things. I don't tend to watch movies much in class, even though we do that kind of stuff. Well, there we go. There's King Lear. It's not on the screen. But yes, the idea of that, there's options for showing videos, and this has a good store of all kinds of things. Outside of the actual, regular movies, there are all kinds of documentary stuff, and there's also kind of some educational stuff. If you dig really deeply into Netflix, it's there. You can see how to search things, and they're adding more and more things as we go along. This is Ian McKellen, the actor, and King Lear. So it's a good starting point to talk about style. In the same line, iTunes U is actually kind of interesting now. It's got some new stuff in iTunes U. For example, this is good for me as a theatre teacher, but I'm sure there are other kinds of things, music or art, where I can watch a video about the National Theatre doing their breathing techniques, so I can show them professionals in the real world. And obviously, I know music has been doing this a lot with singers and musicians. This would be the equivalent thing with theatre. But in iTunes U, there's a lot more stuff there than there used to be. So I'll go with that. So it just shows up on your iTunes U library. You can add courses in iTunes U from different universities. And there's all kinds of that. You may have heard of MOOCs, the really massive online classes. And so there's all kinds of new stuff out there that is really interesting. And then finally YouTube, which I'm sure we've also used for cat videos, but actually can do other stuff too. And finally, this one is one of my favorites. This is impressions through accents, and I love this.
Oh, I have passed a miserable night, so full of fearful dreams, of ugly
It's
sights.
Shakespeare, but in a
As I am a Christian faithful man, I would not spend another
So
such
this guy
night.
does
Though I
about
worship my
40
God.
different accents in about 5 minutes. And so as a teaching took me, this is great.
Before that road from the town was embarked across Burgundy. And in my company, my brother Gloucester, who from my cabinet tested me to walk on the hatchet.
There are all kinds of
Thanks for
people
the point.
on the internet that are George W. doing Shakespeare. Awesome. So that's, but the thing that I want to really talk about really fast before I disappear is Moodle. I did a training session this summer on Moodle, and those of you who are Mac oriented know that it's a real pain in the ass to use it in Safari. You have to use Firefox.
Yeah.
Except on the iPad, it works in Safari on the iPad. Right? I don't know why, but it does. And so I've been using it in all my classes. And so they, writing everything as electronic files, which has made me discover that they don't know anything about technology. I'm shocked by how little they know. They can't save something as a PDF. They don't know how to scan something. I mean, it's shocking how little my students know. So this is actually a remedial technology class for them forcing them to submit stuff. But assignments, I get graded assignments, and I can open my assignments in Moodle on this one, which is really useful. Doc file, and then I can open it in Pages. If you don't have the productivity files, Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, but the Apple ones, I strongly recommend buying them because you can just open something in this. I can edit. I discovered when I didn't have my computer for 3 days because it's being replaced, that I could go in and edit everything on this, and then from this directly, I type in changes on what I've done, and then I can select it and send it as an email, the corrected file, straight to the students, and it's done. I was doing my assignments grading them much faster, but that's only part of it.
Run it back in, you went to Pages, and then you went to what?
So I had the file from the homework in Moodle, and then there's an option to open the file in Pages, which is the word processing app on the thing. So I opened it in Pages, and then I typed my corrections, maybe in red or blue or green, so they would know they were my notes, and then I would send that file, that Pages file, directly back to the student, because you can email it directly from Pages. So I have their email saved in my contacts, and so they go straight back out to them. So it was just this really super fast way to respond, and I always was slow grader, so this was good for me. So you just hit email, you can share it, and you can share it either as a PDF, a Word, or a Pages document. And I've been doing them as PDFs so that they can't change it after I send it to them. But you didn't say that. Yes, I did, because it says a PDF and you can't change it. I mean, I guess they could if they were really clever, but if they're that clever, then they get points for attention. Right, let's see. And then obviously there's productivity apps. And then the other thing I've been doing to sort of get out of here is Dropbox. There are a million different versions of this, different ways to upload files to a cloud storage device. If you've got iCloud or something else like that. I've been, each night or each morning, I've been dumping the files that I'm going to use in my classes into Dropbox and then open them when I get there. And so I can look at my notes, I can make changes on my notes that I've got in my files and save them in the classroom. And it's really helping me. But I can also bring up students' work. If they've sent me stuff, if they've sent me homework, I can save it into Dropbox, and then I can pick it up in class and then show this on the screen like this. In class, when the student was doing her scene, I said, okay, so let's look at her ground plan. And I can move it around and look at this, and then I can even open this in a different file to make changes on it and say, okay, you want to make corrections, because obviously this is a student version of it. But the idea is that I can then show them their mistakes as they're seeing it. The same thing with scripts and all kinds of other material. I'm sure music stuff will work the same. And assuming there's things in art or graphic design or interior design, you can bring it up on the screen. And just pulling it out of Dropbox makes it easier for me because it's always portable. I can always have it with me. And it's a 2 2 gigabyte free. You get 2 gigabytes for free, and I haven't filled it up yet. I'm halfway through the semester, and I'm still at 1 gigabyte. So I feel like depending on the size of materials that your students use, you might be able to do that. So okay, that's my thing. So I'll get out of the way. Still one audition.
Scott, I'm sorry I came in late. What's the format here? Do we add comments about how we're using a particular
Yeah,
software?
if y'all have any comments to add along the way, or
Yeah.
if you have any ideas, questions, suggestions, that's fine. This should be sort of a discussion format, as long as we keep everybody to 10 minutes so we don't run out of time at the end. We do want to fit all 5 speakers in.
Okay. Well, for Dropbox, I've put the entire production of Hansel and Gretel on it, all the drawings, all the photographs, and everything. And then I've given the link of that public folder to the whole production team, so everyone can see. And they don't always read the drawings. They have.
I use Dropbox, but you may not know, you can get more space for free.
Oh yeah, I have 11 gig which I got in the
If you
last
recommend
year.
others use it, and they actually use it like your students.
Actually, your appreciation classes will be more than happy to join and give you 500 megabytes. That's where I got all that.
Okay, who's ready to go next? Grant? Sure.
Epic failure. All right, let's level load up. And awesome success. Okay, let's see. I'm not very music heavy. Most things I was going to talk about are very music heavy. I'll hit those kind of first, and we'll do some other things that are kind of more.
We are recording this, so, and a few music folks have emailed me, so it's good for you to share that stuff too, Grant.
All right. First thing we're going to talk about is this app over here called Fourscore. This is one that I use with a lot of my students. For example, here's a pretty simple marimba piece. But with this program, it allows me to annotate on here, so I can go in and make corrections and that kind of stuff. But it has so much more than that. I'm just kind of in love with this whole program. I'll pull up this. Okay, so I can click annotate, and I can do multiple kinds of annotations. Like you see on here, the red and the blue marks. That's from 2 successive weeks of working on this piece with one of my students. So I did the first week in red, the second week in blue, and the places where you can see where they are kind of overlapping. That image says, hey, you didn't do your job here. But you can also type on it, like I have up here at the very top, it says move to your right, because as he's playing marimba, he's standing too far to his left and was out of position with his body. So as I asked him to move a little bit to change his position, which I can just type in there, which is a lot better than my handwriting. With this, I utilize this program for all kinds of stuff. For example, I don't take a set of scores in when I run the jazz band. And so I do my entire jazz band rehearsal or concerts, all that stuff from this, which is wonderful. It allows me, again, to put notes in here to myself as far as like cues and that kind of thing that I know I'm conducting. But with music, when you're dealing with the score, a lot of times, okay, you're going through, here's a repeat sign. Now I've got to go back in the score. It's pages back. Well, with this, I can set up a nifty little hot link, which is that little blue button there. Repeat sign, I pop the blue button, and it takes me right back where I need to be. So it makes it a whole lot easier when you're standing on stage in front of a bunch of people instead of shuffling pages around and all that mess. The other thing that this does that I love is it has this handy-dandy metronome. So I can set it to pulse. So again, I'm getting ready to kick off the band. There's our tempo, and we're off and running, and everything works, and it's fantastic. It also will allow me to do the email backwards to my students. So I make my students PDF their music, they send that to me, or I'll do it myself with something I have in my library, and then I can make corrections on it during their lesson. then send them a PDF of all the things that I corrected during their lessons, so they have a record of what we actually talked about. And then, like I said, then they have a running list of all this stuff. Okay, I'm gonna keep it running. I could be in that all day. Here's one that I just kind of dig. Discover music. And this is one that any of you guys can use just to find new, cool, groovy stuff. With this, we've been talking a lot about John Cage here recently, so let's type in John Cage. Indeed, I want that funny looking guy. So it gives me John Cage. Great. So if I double click on John Cage, it brings up this whole thing. There's a biography of him. There's some songs I can download off of iTunes, most of which have no notes in them. Blogs, reviews of concerts, what people are tweeting about him, different places to find this information. And if I want, I can pull up videos of John Cage that are out there.
Now there we are.
Which is really pretty handy, especially like program notes and that kind of stuff. It's like, bang, here's a biography of his music. But here's the cool thing I think. Okay, so I know John Cage. It's saying that these other 6 artists are kind of like John Cage. So if I go to Harry Partch, okay, here are 2 other people who are kind of related to Harry Partch. I can then double click him and get all the same kind of stuff and look at all his cool, crazy instruments he created and all that kind of thing. And it's like once you go down the rabbit hole, you could be in here all day just looking at different artists going all over creation. Yeah, well, I use this for like jazz stuff. I'll put him on. Okay, I like Buddy Rich, and so I'll punch in Buddy Rich. The next thing you know, it's like, okay, here are 1,000 other great jazz drummers, and go from there. It's really pretty hip. And since it has all the stuff kind of tied backwards into YouTube and iTunes and all that, it's actually a lot of fun. Let's see. Okay, let's do Beat Time. Because this is one that, although it has a very definite music usefulness, this one here called Beat Time. You can use this a lot of different ways. Let me go ahead and start doing the video stuff. Everything that's on here, you can do it as just straight audio, but I'm going to do the video because that applies to more people. Let's see, let's go. Yeah, let's go. I was using this in a lesson just the other day. I had a student who's a non-major, and we're working on his drumming technique. And he's very stiff, and so I had him working at just trying to loosen up and play 16th notes at 200 beats a minute on a snare drum. So just, flying. And so I videoed him. And so, okay, we can play the video. So there's the... I can also take that video and slow it down by, here it is at 60%. And so at that point, I can really look at what he is exactly doing. And I can then record myself doing the exact same thing and showing the difference in my technique and his. So you talk about, okay, here's how the stick's moving and all this kind of stuff. And that's all lovely. And you can customize that and you can take it down to a ludicrously slow. And I've done illustrations for really sort of fine motor, movement, that kind of stuff.
Grant?
Yeah.
I've used it since you recommended it, and you can pause there too if there's a certain movement you want to see.
Exactly. It also
Great program.
I also kind of goofed around with this a little. I haven't used this very much, but it has a YouTube function where you can go pull a video off of YouTube and do all the kind of same types of things with that. If I go in here and let me pull, let's see, do something very quick. How about this? This is something that I've used this when I perform for musicals. It's not uncommon for me to, I'm playing Wicked or whatever, and the touring production will have a chart that's in a different key from the original Broadway cast. Well, I could practice with the original, but when it's in a different key, then it's all crazy messed up. And what this will allow for has depth. And very quickly, last, if I can find it just quickly here, App Shopper. If you're looking for stuff, just different apps and that kind of thing, this is a program I like a lot. This will allow you can go in and set up some categories. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a music app or an education app or an arts app, that kind of thing. And then, if there's something on here that you like, or maybe it's more than you really want to spend on it, you can click it and tell it, you know, when this price drops, let me know. And you get this little, the price just dropped, which, as you guys know with apps, happens all the time. You know, people run something at $10 forever, and then all of a sudden, we're not selling that, let's make it $2. Or sometimes with certain apps, they'll do a few days where it's just free. And so that thing pops up, like, hey, you can get this for free now. I usually, thank you very much. Like my little password and off and running. So App Shopper that's one I found a lot of cool stuff this way. It's also nice to use just to kind of search for different things. If I have 2 seconds, I'll show you just very quickly. Inkling, any of you guys use Inkling yet? This is where your textbooks are headed. This is my music appreciation textbook. So okay, here's different stuff about John Cage. If I want, I can click here, and okay, it'll take me to this, graphic, whatever. All kinds of awesome stuff in here. It embeds all the musical examples. It defines terms. It hot links all over the book. It's pretty amazing stuff, and I think this is probably where we're headed.
This is the company that Apple's pushing really hard right now.
Yeah.
For interactive textbooks.
Yeah.
Is there any particular publisher or any publisher?
It's pretty much anything. This is a Norton book, and it started off, this is one of the very first books they put out, and it has exploded since then. And so this is actually what I recommend to my students in the class. Like, if you have an iPad, get this. And they also do an electronic version that you use on a laptop too, but it's not as handy as the iPad. Okay.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Who's next?
I have one iPad application and 2 websites that have to be accessed from a laptop because they require Flash. In the library, we have now set up a trial for something called Medici TV, and there is actually an iPad application that can be got for free in App Store. I already installed it, and we have this trial set up until the end of October, so you will still have about 10 days, 9 days to try it. Basically, this is a database of videos, music videos, and not only music videos, because they have also some videos of ballet and dance. About 1,000 videos, more than 1,000 hours. And here, when you click on films, they are divided into different categories: new releases, symphonic concerts, chamber music, operas. It takes a while to... Usually they include also some information about these operas or symphonic concerts. Sometimes it takes a while to load. And you have also, as I mentioned, some dance videos, for example, Vanishing Forever here at the very bottom. And and a lot of documentaries, interviews with Bernstein and other documentaries. Also, they broadcast some live concerts. They have an arrangement with some concert halls, and every day you can hear live broadcasts from different concert halls, from opera houses. Sometimes very good performance. So this is the first thing I wanted to show, Medici TV. And if I can also send you a link, a direct link, if you wanted to access it from your computer, because if you access this thing on campus, you don't have to type any addresses. You just install this iPad application, and it should, if you are here on campus, it should automatically take you to Medici TV. But if you are accessing it from your computer, you have to type in an address. So I can later send it to you. If you are doing it off campus, you may have to type in your password, your username and password. So it's not that easy, but you can do it here on campus. And the other thing is 2 websites.
Very good. Oh, lost the signal.
Okay. I don't know if you have ever used Google Ngram Viewer. I'll just show you a little bit. This is Ngram is a linguistic term that refers to a sequence of n characters and consecutive items in text. So you can check how keywords were used, I think over the period of 500 years in 5 million books. So for example, if you want to see how the word computer and helicopter were used from 1800 to, I think the last date is 2008. It will give you a graph showing that it started to be used in 1940s. The word helicopter and the word computer, which is used much more often than the word helicopter. And it's very experimental at this point, and maybe not 100% useful, but somebody came up with an idea for a music Ngram viewer, and it's called PitchNote. PitchNote. Here, you can either use this short keyboard or just input the notes here. It shows you a sequence of intervals, how they were used, I think, from 1800s until now. And they are still working on it, so now you can search by melody, by chord, but in the future they want to also include some rhythmic patterns, harmonic progressions. For example, if I use this, and click on search, it should give me this motif or in different scores. It's not very useful sometimes because I don't think they classify it according to importance. So if it appears only in some configurations, it's treated the same way as the main theme, for example, or another person, another form. But it's the beginning of something. So it's probably when you click on score here. I couldn't find it because I didn't spend too much time on it, but
So a second link to IMSLP.
it is linked to, it searches Library of Congress scores, Duke University scores, and IMSLP. You have to, so the disclaimer is somewhere here, probably, but I'm not going to say it. So this is called Ngram Viewer. And one more thing, I don't know if you have ever come across databases that use humming or whistling to find motifs. It's called Query by Humming, and this website is Flash-based, and you have to hum or whistle the tune you're looking for, and it's based on popular songs. So I couldn't find any classical music, just popular pop songs. And it has one considerable limitation because the database consists only of tunes that were hummed before. So if one user must have already sung it before, if no one has sung it before, the system will never find it. And it's called TuneBot. It's at Northwestern University. So it's also in a kind of experimental phase. And I just wanted to show you what current trends there are. Maybe in 20 years from now, you could search the library catalog by humming or by inputting some intervals. I don't know, maybe I'll try it. Bum, bum, ba ba bum, bum, ba 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 bum, ba 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 bum, ba bum, ba bum, ba ba bum, bum, ba bum, 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 bum. And you can search. You can check if it was recorded. Maybe you will find it. Okay. 42% is still going on. It's less probable that it's other tunes. It's working sometimes, sometimes not. So an Ngram viewer and Query by Humming system. That's all I have.
Thank you, Yara.
Can I pop up there?
Go.
I'm going to use both an iPad and an iMac, I hope. Plug in here. The good news is I only have basically 3 things to show you. So maybe I can do mine a little quicker. Perhaps. Let's see, we were just on VGA, so I need to change the scores. Did you do that?
I did.
Thank you. I thought, wow. I did that even before. Let's see. I actually should have used my computer, but since I have my iPad, I'll stick with this. And I'm just using the Note program in here. But the main thing that I'm trying to show you about it is that I'm actually using a Bluetooth keyboard, and I have been on a hunt for years, ever since I got an iPad, to find the ideal solution, because for typing longer amounts of text, I do not like using the little typewriter that's on the screen. The very best keyboard I've found for using with an iPad is just the plain, ordinary iMac have that little stand I've used at home or in my office, something similar to that can be adjusted to many different angles. You can turn your iPad vertical or horizontal, whichever way you want to do it. And it works pretty well, except you have to carry a couple of different things in your bag, and you don't have any protection for your screen. Somewhere along the line, I picked up this leather case, which has a Bluetooth keyboard in it. Good protection, albeit rather thick. The keyboard is fairly good, but not as good as the Apple keyboard that I've already mentioned. The very first case I got was this called Clam Case, which allows you to fold your iPad back in all different kinds of positions, including all the way backwards, and it supports for viewing, typing, whatever you may want to do. But what I ended up with and what I'm using right here now is a ZAGG keyboard, Z-A-G-G, is right there. It's almost as good as the Apple keyboard, and it does provide a nice little handy case. I just lost my connection there. But I can close this up, and it gives me some protection. The keyboard works really well, and I highly recommend it. I found it online for about $89. Now, I'm actually going to show you a strange program that anyone could use. It is, well, let me just see if I can get it to work. Greetings, exclamation point, new paragraph. I am not often found talking to my computer, comma. However, I will demonstrate this program with a few nonsensical phrases, period. And there's my text. And it did a very accurate job. I noticed I had to tell it the exclamation point, the new paragraph, the period at the end, a comma, or any punctuation you need. I have a hand condition called focal hand dystonia. Let's see if that'll pick up on that. Uh-oh. Clumsy is my middle name, and it's recording that.
So that's what we're going to get for posterity, right?
It's recording you, too. I think I better stop that because that is too inaccurate. A couple of planes he is going and it's recording that posterity. Obviously, that was not intended. You have to kind of talk directly to the input. I love that application.
Is that Dragon?
Dragon Dictate Naturally Speaking. If you'll hang on just 1 minute.
I think it's free too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I will. Let's see. I need to change cables.
Ron, does that save it into your notepad thing? There can be a document you can
You can
use.
copy and paste it into any application you want to. I'm actually continuing with that, but I'm going to try to get to my computer here. See if it'll pick up on that. HDMI. You should see my screen. There we go. And I guess I had this on and didn't realize it. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. There we go. It wasn't behaving properly. Delete all of that. Okay. Yes, Dragon Dictate Naturally Speaking is available for the iPad. It was either very inexpensive or free. It's also available for the iPhone, believe it or not. And I've been using it for years on a PC, and then now I've switched to the dark side. I'm using a MacBook Pro, and it's available for that. Just got a new update. It is not inexpensive for the computer platform. The cheapest version they have is about $100. As I started to say, I have a little bit of a hand disability with my right hand, and typing long amounts of text, I end up with all kinds of semicolons and other characters that I don't mean to put in there. And so I've just started dictating to my computer, and let's see if I can make it work here, which is a little bit better than on the iPad. Wake up. Did you notice that little green balloon, question mark, in paragraph? You can respond, exclamation point, new paragraph, but if you speak too loudly, it will pick up and try to type whatever it is you're saying, period. Go to sleep. Okay, so it's, oops, go to sleep came out instead of go to sleep. So part of what I have to do is go back and do some hand editing with this. I find that, and again, I've used this for a long time, but I've found that if I take my time and speak at a normal speaking rate of speed, and then copy and paste it into an email, copy and paste it into Word, copy and paste it into a notepad, anything I want to use, seems to work out very well. Oops, look at that.
That's pretty impressive.
I was talking and thought I had it turned off. That's obviously not intended, and I'm going to delete that before you laugh me out of the room. Okay, so very quickly, I showed you iAnnotate, which I think I paid around $10 for. I couldn't find current prices in the App Store. If they see that it's already installed, it just says installed, so you can't look at the price. And the Drag and Dictate that I was just showing you, and the Zag keyboard I found on Amazon.com for $89.99. And that's all I'm going to mention. Real brief. Let's see, I do need the iPad and the cable. I'll get that.
The only software I would have anything to say about today would be PDF Expert. This is a great little software. It's for annotating PDFs, so I found some use for it. I think it was about $9 when I bought it. It's probably cheaper now. But it gives me all the tools for annotation that I get with a normal PDF viewer. I don't know why I'm losing it.
Is it plugged in?
I love that program. Go ahead and exit back out to the main screen.
Well, that's not really what I want to talk about anyway, but that's PDF Expert. If you find that you have PDFs you want to actually annotate, for example, I have a digital publishing suite manual, and I've come through and underlined everything and noted for myself. So it offers you all of the, virtually all, if not all, of the annotation and commenting that you get from Adobe Acrobat Pro. So it's a great little software for sending messaging back to folks that may send you a PDF or something, which my students do if I want to do it on the iPad. Okay, let's see if I can refine myself here.
Yeah, let me get the source.
I think it's that program. It might not be compatible with.
Let me get out of it then.
Just hit your home button on that shit. Okay, will come up to your menu.
Shannon's been having lots of trouble with HDMI.
I just wonder if I have this trouble a lot. We just don't let it.
Yeah, that might be.
Maybe you should hit the source again.
And one of Richard's favorite tools that I really appreciate, he keeps a rubber band on there because that cable will come loose. And if you put a rubber band around it, that keeps it tight so it doesn't come loose, which tends to work really well.
Well, there you go. That's pretty typical.
Let me try one more time on this.
Yeah, see the HDMI, it's just.
The blue screen at that.
Let's see, I'm going to go to the source. You're going to see HDMI now.
eyes off on the screen there.
Technical services was supposed to be over here yesterday, fixing this.
We were fine until that
I
moment.
did see Justin back here.
Did you?
Yeah, he's working with Shannon.
Yeah. I don't know what the things he fixed it or.
When I was here, it looked like this, they were getting some kind of signal on the screen, but I'm not sure what the desired outcome is.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say that what I'm going to tell you probably isn't of a lot of interest to a lot of you anyway. We're doing iPad magazines. So in my publication class, we're actually creating digital magazines for publication. The digital publishing suite by Adobe was really very proprietary when I first got into this about a year ago. And they would not allow you to make more than one magazine. They've really opened it up. In fact, so much so that I'm confused by all the magazines I've created for myself in terms of talking to class. So it's limitless, and you can share these magazines by way of email address. So once you create them, and so it's not, all you have to have is InDesign, which the university has a license for. And I should say this though, it's really no different from a PDF, an interactive PDF. What it is I think again, it's a proprietary issue that Adobe's trying to make money off of this through publishing off of their cloud. And so they've taken us through a route to do a specific type of publication. So the first thing you do on both your laptop or your computer is you buy a content viewer. Or actually you buy it free. And you sign up with Adobe with a username and password. And so when I come here, I have a listing of all the magazines that I would have that have been created for this. Here's one I would show my students, which is a couple of articles. I have a link up here. This is a button, so I can link to a different article, which is Civ Mag. And then I can go back with this. This is a swipe. This is an image sequence that I created, which I can just simply move my finger across it and dictate its movement. Let's see. This is the same thing. It's kind of a little fun roulette thing. This is a pan and zoom, where I can reveal more of a larger image in this. And you'll notice that my border is changing. This is done through something called a folio overlay. And what it does is actually puts imagery on top. So it actually takes your InDesign file and places a whole other level of interactivity on it. So you have to be aware of that. And what I'm going to encourage my students to do is always to make their strokes on their boxes from the outside. And InDesign, the default, is doing it from the center out. And you see it diminishes the width of it. So if you do it from the outside, it should compensate for the normal size of the font. I know y'all don't care about that. Little video. I never do anything of high quality, so students don't copy anything I do. There's another great thing. This is an object state where you create stacked objects, and then you can make a button that you can interchange with that. Here's another one right here. These are image sequences again, like the animals were. Actually, no, this is a link. This is a hyperlink I created, which goes to a larger page. And this should have a link back to that, as does this. And this, we've been doing this for ages with regard to PDFs. The students in my classes have had to make interactive PDFs to give demonstrations. And actually, this is an example of it. They have to do an analysis of a magazine in this class, and they have to do it interactively. So they take small images that work for the design, and then they give us subsequent pages that are large and gives us something we can see up close. Let me go back to a couple of the student pieces that we've had so far. I did this last semester, and I'm teaching publication back-to-back because I'm going on sabbatical next semester. So it's kind of giving me a nice opportunity to revisit this pretty quickly. This is one of the students. Let's see. And he chose to do a pan and zoom where you reveal this creepy little fuzzy guy behind him. Okay. So that's basically what we're It's kind of fun to see. If anybody heard Tina Brown on NPR this morning, she was talking about Newsweek going to iPad exclusively. So this is where we're going in publication. I'm hoping you'll still have some archival paper around, for what's probably going to happen is they're going to take more book form, less modular, more singular in its process, and more expensive probably is going to be the outcome. Thanks.
If you guys have anything to share or any questions, we have a couple minutes left before we have to evacuate the room.
How did you get that going?
I just reset it.
Okay.
This is a good thing for everybody to know. If something ever doesn't work on the iPad, you can hold down the button for about 5 seconds, and it does a total reset. So, sometimes computers, things just don't work right, and a total reset will fix little problems like that.
I've always had to hold down you hold down the home button as well when you do the other
I just held down the start button.
Well, let me just throw this out. You mentioned the video beat time, which is fantastic. I use Amazing Slowdowner all the time, which is a crazy name for an application on the Mac or the PC that does similar things, and I actually use it to rehearse for musicians. It's a fantastic tool.
One of my favorite things that I've started doing in my teaching here lately is holding a screenshot. And you can do a screenshot by pressing on the home button and then the turn on button, and it flashes. Did everybody see that? It flashes. And now there's a photo in the photos area which you could use in a PowerPoint presentation, for example. So that's something that I do quite a bit now. I'll take a screenshot of a movie or a video or just a website, and I'll pull that up later on in class.
One thing I did mention about that, the app shopper, like you were talking about PDF export. And I pull that up on App Shopper, and it gives me a listing of all the updates that have been made to it, and then all the price increases or decreases. Like right now it's running at $10, but it's been as low as $4.99. So it gives you all that information, so you kind of get a feel for, should I really buy this now, or should I wait a couple months and buy it for cheaper, or since it tells you about updates and all that, they'll tell you how interested the people are who are creating it.
And somebody's going to develop an app for App Shopper.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. Let's give our presenters a applause.
Can I come back to everybody for Wednesday?
Nice job.
Yeah, that's great. So many great ideas.
Glad we got it to come out.
Beyond the reset. We'll have a good day.
Keep you running.
See you later on.